My name is Rebecca Hayes. I'm 41 years old, and the last time my family laid eyes on me, they thought I was nothing more than a washed-up failure scrubbing dishes at a roadside diner in Nebraska. That was 3 years ago, standing in the same kitchen we grew up in, while my older sister Emma pointed her perfectly manicured finger at my grease-stained work shirt and faded jeans. "Just look at yourself, Becca," she said, her tone dripping with that cruel mix of pity and judgment. "If Mom and Dad were alive, they'd be ashamed of what you've become." My brother Jake had stood behind her, arms crossed in his expensive suit, nodding like her shadow. "We tried to help after your military thing didn't work out," he said dismissively. "But you can't save someone who doesn't want saving." The military thing. That's what they called my 8 years of service as a military police officer, my 2 combat deployments overseas, my Bronze Star earned under enemy fire. To them, my career and sacrifices were nothing more than a footnote. I stayed quiet and let them finish their performance. Emma had gathered us that night to announce her engagement to Preston, a hedge fund golden boy, while Jake boasted about his shiny new promotion at the law firm. But the real reason for inviting me to Sunday dinner became clear. They wanted to tell me I wasn't welcome at Emma's wedding. "It's nothing personal," Emma lied, refusing to meet my eyes. "Preston's family is very traditional, very accomplished. I can't have them seeing this kind of background." By this kind of background, she meant me, their dishwasher sister. Jake had even pulled out his checkbook, smug as ever. "Here's $5,000. Get cleaned up. Maybe take some classes. But don't contact us until you've sorted your life out." I remember staring at that check for a long moment. To them, it was pocket change. To me, it was proof of how little they valued me. I left it on the counter and walked away. What they never knew, what they couldn't know, was that I wasn't actually working at a diner. For 3 years, I'd been operating deep undercover with the U.S. Marshal Service, infiltrating one of the largest human trafficking rings in the country. The diner, the shabby apartment, the financial struggles, they were all part of my cover. 3 years of 18-hour days, building trust with some of the most dangerous criminals in America. 3 years of living in the shadows so that innocent lives could be saved. Meanwhile, my siblings looked down on me as their embarrassment. The irony was sharp. While Emma planned her fairy tale wedding and Jake climbed his corporate ladder, I was one of only 47 women serving in the Marshal Service's elite special operations group, hunting fugitives across the nation. My salary doubled Jake's, my clearance level eclipsed anything they'd ever touch, and my work directly saved lives. But I couldn't tell them. Not yet. The takedown happened on a Tuesday in March. 17 arrests across 4 states, including high-value fugitives who had been on the run for years. Our team dismantled a trafficking pipeline that stretched from Midwest truck stops to the Mexican border. That Friday, my supervisor finally said the words I'd been waiting for. "Marshal Hayes, pack your real clothes. You're going home." Home. A word I hadn't felt in 3 years. Emma's wedding was scheduled for that Saturday at the Riverside Country Club, the same place our parents celebrated their 25th anniversary before the accident. Jake had texted me the details months ago, probably forgetting he'd uninvited me, or maybe just twisting the knife. I almost stayed away. After everything, I wanted nothing more than to decompress on a quiet beach. But another part of me, the little sister who'd always been dismissed as the other Hayes kid, wanted to see their faces when they finally realized who I really was. I drove straight from headquarters in my black Ford Explorer with government plates. Instead of blending in, I put on my full dress uniform. Navy blue, badge polished, rank insignia shining. My ribbon rack told a story they never cared to hear. My Bronze Star, Meritorious Service Medals, Combat Action Badge, and my Marshal Service commendations, including the Medal of Valor. I could have arrived quietly, but this time I wanted them to see me. Security at the club barely looked twice before stepping aside with a respectful, "Good afternoon, Marshal." The ceremony was already underway. Emma looked flawless in her gown, Preston tall beside her, while Jake stood at the altar as best man. I sat unnoticed in the back row, listening to Preston's wealthy relatives discuss stock portfolios and Hampton vacations. The irony made me smirk. Emma had barred me for being too low class. while I sat there wearing the uniform of one of the most elite federal law enforcement agencies in America. The vows ended, the kiss sealed, applause thundered, and the reception began. I kept to the edges, nursing a club soda, when I overheard Preston's mother gossiping. Emma's family is lovely, though I hear she has a sister in some dead-end service job. Very sad, really. Her companion, an investment banker uncle, nodded. These military types often fail in civilian life. It's a shame. Oh, she wasn't really military, Preston's mother corrected smugly. Just some kind of security job. Emma said she's a waitress now, barely making rent. Poor girl. That same heat from 3 years ago burned through me, but this time I wasn't undercover. I stepped forward. "Excuse me," I said, voice steady. I couldn't help overhearing about Emma's sister. They turned, startled by my presence and uniform. Preston's mother blinked. "Oh, officer, are you here on duty?" "No," I said evenly. "I'm her sister." Silence fell. Every eye locked on my badge, my rank insignia, the ribbon rack gleaming on my chest. "There's been a mistake," I continued. "I am Deputy U.S. Marshal Rebecca Hayes, Special Operations Group. For the past 3 years, I've been undercover dismantling a human trafficking network. Last week, we arrested 17 suspects and rescued 43 victims, including 12 children." Preston's uncle went pale. "You're a federal marshal?" "Yes. And before that, I served 8 years as Army military police, including 2 combat tours. I was awarded a Bronze Star." Right then, Emma appeared, her face draining of color when she saw me. "Becca, what are you doing here? What are you wearing?" "This is my dress uniform," I said calmly. "Congratulations on your wedding, Emma." Confusion clouded her. "But you've been working at a diner, washing dishes for years." I opened my jacket and handed her my credentials. Her hands shook as she read the badge, photo, and ID. Preston leaned over her shoulder, whispering, "Oh my God, you're actually a federal marshal." "Special operations," I confirmed. "We handle high-risk fugitive hunts and covert missions." Jake arrived next, his face dark with confusion. "What the hell is going on?" "Becca, why are you dressed like that?" "Because I am Deputy U.S. Marshal Rebecca Hayes," I said, my voice carrying. "Remember your dishwasher sister? That's me." He froze, speechless. "But you failed out of the Army. You've been broke, working minimum wage." "I never failed anything," I cut in. "I finished my service honorably and was recruited into the Marshals. That rundown apartment and the diner job, a cover, paid for by the federal government." The crowd had gathered, Preston's wealthy relatives, Emma's friends, even the catering staff. Their faces shifted from judgment to awe. Emma's tears spilled over. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because I couldn't. My cover had to be absolute. Even family couldn't know. And because," I paused, looking at both siblings, "you made it clear you were ashamed of me. You uninvited me, handed me money like I was a charity case, and told me not to come back until I got my life together." The weight of my words crushed them. Emma sobbed openly. Jake stared at the floor. Preston's mother stammered apologies. But the damage was done, not to me but to the relationships that could have been. "Will you stay?" Emma begged. "For the reception? Please. I want everyone to meet my sister, the U.S. Marshal." I studied her, remembering the 12-year-old girl who once idolized her older siblings and the woman I'd become through years of danger and sacrifice. "I'll stay for a while," I said. The rest of the night blurred into a parade of introductions. Preston's father, a federal judge, shook my hand with genuine respect. His uncle asked about Afghanistan with reverence. Emma never left my side, repeating with pride, "My sister, Deputy U.S. Marshal Rebecca Hayes." Later, Jake approached, his voice quiet. "Becca, I owe you an apology. I treated you horribly." "Yes," I said simply. "Is there any way we can start again?" I looked at him, finally seeing humility in the brother who'd once towered over me in arrogance. "I don't know. I've changed, Jake." I don't need your approval anymore. I understand, but I'd like to try if you'll let me. Driving away that night in my uniform, I thought about who I used to be, the overlooked kid, the invisible sister. That girl was gone. In her place was a woman who had infiltrated cartels, saved lives, and earned respect in the shadows. They say the best revenge is living well. But sometimes the greatest revenge is becoming exactly who you were meant to be, whether your family ever believed in you or not.